Okay, public input. Who do we have for public input? Oh,
You're the first one to Janice.
I'm right behind you.
Okay, Janice. And Janice is on checks and balances.
Do I
There
have
she
to
is.
sit anywhere?
Just sit here so we can see you, hon,
Okay.
please.
Sure. Well, I kinda wanted to address everybody, I've been getting a lot of crap about this stuff where the auditor and the treasurer aren't matching. Well, you know, the treasurer handles the money, so it's like, she must be doing something. Not really. Yeah, she's doing something. Every day, I get a report from the state on the motor V stuff, and I have to balance with that. So I get a tax report daily, a credit card report, I get a motor V report, which is like this. And the money has to match all of those, and then you can deposit it. And when you deposit it, you have to do a sheet like this. List everything you did, every transaction, what it was, it has to go on there, has to balance with the bank.
You're right here, Steve. Engineer is right there.
So, you do that every time I deposit money. And you don't necessarily do it daily because you gotta have at least 500. They always, the state auditor always told me 500. Well, now he said it can be higher because everything costs more. So, you do that daily or every time you have balance. Every time you deposit, you do this. Then at the end of the month, you have to accumulate all those and put them in this end of the month one. And it's got your bank balance on here too. Then you have to reconcile the bank statement. So if you think I can get away with any money, you're crazy. By the time I do all this, I'm just lucky to even be here. If somebody wants to come and watch me, they're more than welcome.
And it's not really that they're not matching. It's money that has been miscoded, and we're trying to get it coded
Before the audit.
before the audit comes.
Why is it being miscoded?
Well, we kind of went through that the last meeting, and so I think Rex probably gave you the data from 2020, the 2 years, yeah. I think Rex brought that for you. And so, it's just, things have, where Janice has her stuff, and then it has to come to the treasurer, and then within the auditor, and then within there, something, the dollars versus everything else is switched for 2 years.
Who
What,
does coding and who enters it? Who's responsible for that?
well, all of us are, the treasurer as well as the auditor.
So has this
So
been
you-
an ongoing problem for months and years and centuries?
About
Why have we not heard about it until now?
Well, we
found out about it ourselves.
I think that it has been addressed, because it didn't match ever since, for almost 2 years, 18 months. So, but
What's
let you know,
doing with all that?
why don't you and I, maybe I can show you, because this was a meeting that we had last month, and so maybe you and I could sit down and we could discuss it, but
I don't understand why if you've worked on it for like 10 months, you've been here, and this person was here for 6 or 7 of those months, and now you bet it's been here for
and
40 hours plus.
mine have been
Why
budgeted
nothing
right.
is balancing still at this point? 2021 has been closed out.
2021 is closed, but we still have an audit. It still is audited. So I still have to look at 2021 budget, because I will be audited. Janice will be audited for those 2 years. Those 2 years did not match, all except for 1 year. Again, I will go ahead and have a talk with you if you would like to do that. We had that meeting last month, and your husband got all the information. So, but I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one with you to
Sounds
be able
good.
to do that, okay.
We're just trying to make the corrections before the water shoot.
And
And which we can't go in to do, we're gonna have to show him on paper because we can't change anything, but we know what they are.
so,
Oh,
so,
Okay,
so Janice, are you done with that part?
I just wanted everybody to know.
So how long will you have to be working on this then?
Oh, I don't know.
If you can't change anything, then what are you doing?
Because
We're showing
the
the
process
manager
needs
that
to
we caught a
change.
mistake and we're trying to correct the problem, not just last year's, but this year's too.
And the process.
Otherwise, if we wait until this one closes out, we're gonna have 2 years, you know what I'm saying? So if we catch the problem ahead of time and we know what we have to do,
And the problem is what, just coding?
I'm not into those books, come on now. You know just as much as I do. Other, I do know a lot of it's on motor vehicle, cause that's the line item that's coming up with motor vehicle. Nobody's accusing her of anything, it's Cody. Okay.
okay, let's go on.
All right. Leonard, you have,
Oh, wow,
well, David Gulke, I don't see him
He's not
here.
here yet, so.
we'll all come up. You want me to come
Yeah,
up
you're
to the
good,
table?
you're good.
You're good.
Well, here, I'm gonna come up to the table, cause I got some stuff to say on the table.
Okay.
You want me to set up over there?
This
or over
here
there?
is fine.
Anyway, thank you all for letting me speak. This is my first time ever trying to speak. So I apologize if I'm not making myself clear. Or I'm stuttering, and stuttering is probably one of the things I'll get done the most. But anyway, I would like to address the equipment at the station. We pulled out the old tractor and mower, which is junk. The fuel tank leaks. When we went through it to maintain it, the motor oil was not changed. It had hours, 500 hours on it, and it never been changed. It's black. The air breather, I swear, never been taken on. Because we had to forcefully take the air breather off, and the whole line from the manifold to the air breather was just full, flat full. We had another worker that had to beat it just to get it that cleaned out. The mower is obsolete as far as I'm concerned. The old spray truck is great, and we need to get spraying on the road, I admit to that. But there's always something that somebody calls in that needs their little road repaired, done. Right now, well, people can't keep harping that, and I'm gonna use Lowell as the example, because there's a lot of stuff. These roads have been neglected for years. I personally bring my own mower in my own time, my own gas, and I mow around the yard up by the shop, because I wanna see what I'm tripping over before I trip over it. I'm still finding road grader blades under, ruining my own blades. I still find road grader blades. Blades that should have been when they're taken off. There's a pile right by the west shed there, by the gas barrels. Could have been piled there, but whoever took them off just threw them in the grass and let them lay. If you can't do your job, you should not be there. This weekend, I have sinus trouble. And I was gonna come out Thursday and Friday and Saturday, Thursday I worked. Saturday and Friday and Saturday I was gonna come out, but I did not feel good. I went to the doctor, thought it was COVID, it wasn't, so don't worry about that. It was my sinuses. And it took through Sunday, so I'd feel better. And I come back yesterday, and I mowed. I was gonna go slow because I didn't feel good. My strength, that's why I got this chair today. My strength ain't the best yet, but I feel great by myself. And this is showing you if people are working and doing their job. I mowed 46 miles of road yesterday. And the best I heard that anybody was mowing out there was 18 to 20 miles. Well, what's going on here? I never told them my record day was 48 miles. I could have got over 50 if I did not have to stop. In my right leg, I got a bad sciatic nerve, because you can see it right now, it's swelled up. And by the end of the long day, my ankle swells up like that. It hurts like hell. But sometimes, when we're doing our job, and we're paid for it, we gotta make sure we're doing it. And if anybody's got any trouble with it, speak to the person you got a problem in the situation with. Don't talk around and say, oh, they're not doing a good job, because I've even spoken with Lowell. If I'm not doing my job out there, let me know so we can straighten it out. These roads, like I said, have been neglected for years. Every one of these roads needs gravel on them. That's what we're doing. But to help us out, them gravel roads look like cow trails anymore, because everybody follows like sheep down the same trail. When the road is gravel, I understand that the loaded trucks can't drive way over the side of the road. But when they come in empty, and every one of the cars and pickup straddle them tracks, if the maintainer don't get there right away, straddle them tracks, that'll fan that gravel back out over them dirt. And when we get a rain, and God bless, when I groomed my road the last time, he sent that heavy rain to that, and every one of the customers on that road said that road has never looked is that good for years.
So that's the one.
We're just doing our job. But everybody's gotta help out so we can get, I want this county, this state, and this country to become where we're able to get along and work together. If we don't do that, it's not gonna straighten out. And back to the equipment, me personally, I've never done this before in my life. Never done it before. But I on this job, when I'm out mowing, I'm on vacation, because I've seen country in my back door that has never been so beautiful. But we got people going in a hurry, going nowhere. Everybody. I'm on that road, and I can be mowing along, and here's a pickup with a load of cattle going 65, 70 down a gravel road in the trailer. When he passed me, I stopped, so I wouldn't throw any rocks into him. He threw rocks into me. When he passed me, that trailer slid over it, and how he kept it on the road, I will never know. But that's what I say. Slow down and respect each other. Yesterday I was down on 224th Street, and it just shocked me. Every truck that I passed there, they slowed down, and that's what I'm trying to do, is get back 2 or 3 foot on each one of these gravel roads so you can travel down. It's solid enough. They're solid enough. Slow down and pack that in there, because all these roads were not made for all this big heavy equipment. And what we're doing when we're following like sheep, one at a time, every time, them heavy trucks and combines are squeezing that road out. There's not a culvert on none of these county roads that does not have a hole in it or dented by people when they're mowing the roads, slamming into them and knocking there's not a culvert in this county that is actually usable. And back to helping, we're doing our best we can. But we need help. And one thing, I worked with Rex, and I had a blast last year. I run the mulcher. And every time I had to dig out that net wrap around them bales was an hour, and I can get 5 miles an hour done. That's ruining my time, and it's ruining your tax-paying money. I want to be as economical and sufficient for the whole county as I can be. We all got to be that way. Otherwise, we're beating our heads against the walls by not following and respecting each other and doing these roads good by slowing down a little bit and helping us out. If we're, like I say, if we're not able to maintain them right away, that way, if you straddle them tracks when you're empty and all the cars and pickups, if you see two dust trails right in the middle of a gravel road, that means straddle them. The gravel, you'd be surprised how much the gravel gets fanned out over that bare spot. I love what I'm doing, but my time is short. I got a lot of health issues that are coming up. But I will try to do my best, because that's all we can ask of each other. We gotta work together to make this right. And one more thing, if there's not anybody who's hired at that building that wants to work together, they should not be working there, because this happened last year. They could not work together, so they went on their separate ways. When you were graveling the road, we gotta gravel the whole thing. This patching is not working. You patch the bad spot, and then you gravel the rest of the road to make it decent. And with that groomer, that's a perfect tool. I believe we should have one extra tractor, get rid of the old junk, because there's not a soul here that would run that equipment if you had to run it. Because with this heat, for sure, I cannot handle it, because with my stroke and my heat stroke, I can't handle it. Even in that new tractor, it's way too hot, but that's why I wear a headband and I got my ice water. The groomer is a perfect tool. I'd recommend grooming them roads in the spring before we even maintain them, because that fans that gravel out over the winter months and gets that road level. You get all them ridges in and all this washboardy at the end of that road that I groomed, and I believe I groomed 4 of them. And I believe the people all said that them roads are great because it gets that ripple out, but that's another thing. Me personally, if I could take a ball peen hammer and knock them Jake brakes off, that toggle switch for them Jake brakes, I'd knock them off every dash. I've driven a big truck for 23 years for another fella. And not once, but 3 times when I had my kids in there, they would like to hear the noise. So I'd let them flip it on, and that was it. I never used them Jake brakes anymore. That's what the brakes are on them big trucks. that is why I personally say we gotta slow down. Cause a big truck, you got, I was hauling 890 bushel on a tandem truck, believe it or not. But that's before the load limits got pretty hefty in them. But slow down. I've had it on this highway even, going to my journey and my routes. People will pass on a no passing zone, and that this is honest to God truth. I was on my side, and a young man with a souped up car thought he'd be great, and he blew past me, and there was a big semi that was coming from the oncoming traffic, and there's only 300 yards when that young guy started passing me, and this is no lie, there's only about that much space between my tire and that car, and the truck was right there. I'm not yelling at anybody. I'm just giving you a little suggestion. Please, let's get along. Before you get to know each other, don't, your first time you meet them, think, hey, they're no good because they're not agreeing with your idea. Sit down and work through it. Like I say, I'd like to last till September this year, but I got a lot of medical issues that are coming up that I gotta see what's in my agenda for that. But let's all get along, and I hope, and I thank you for letting me speak. But like I say, for the equipment, I think that instead of having equipment like that set and take up space,
Maybe surplus it.
let's upgrade it, because by the time you service and replace what needs, you could have a upgraded tractor for that. And another thing, I would recommend one more mower, because when a guy is grooming, you need a tractor for the mower, and that's why everybody haul. I mowed damn ditches that was that tall last year. And I couldn't believe it. That is why this year, I went out with my personal vehicle and I studied my routes 3-4 days before I come to work. And that is how I acquired to get the miles done the day that I wanted to work, and done in that day that I was working. I'm not putting down the present workers there, but something was not right. And one more thing about the roads, there should not be a tree in them ditches. Because one of these winters, and I believe it's rather soon, we're gonna have a winter that I can remember when I was a kid. There was nothing to have a 10-15 foot drift in the front of the road, that you had to stay home because they couldn't get it. We got all the equipment, it would only take most of an hour to get there to open that up, but that's with the roads, when the roads were cleared. When I come to a tree 6 foot tall or lower, I stop, back it up, and I chop that damn thing down, because there's no reason to let and go by them and do your job and cut them trees down. I'm not gonna go out there amongst these big trees that's been neglected for years and scratch up a $200,000 tractor, because I can't do my job down in the ditch and get a good clipping on it. Another thing with the gates, I could go on for days, but I'm crippled. I'm disabled. I'm legally titled disabled. But if a disabled man can do this, why in the hell can a decent, healthy person do their job if they're trained? And that's one thing, again, if you're gonna quit a job, don't just get mad at, you're disappointed in what the job is. If there's new people that needs a little training, stay there and train them. I have no problem, that's why I'd like to stay till September. And if anybody knows a person that would like to work, I'd be more than happy to train. Like I said, I've never done this before in my life.
Most people just want the paycheck.
That's it, that's it.
They don't wanna work, they want the paycheck.
That's it, but that's where I come in, it's the parent, and I can notice any young person that's been brought up in the right way, in wanting to work and that, because I work with you. But that's the problem with the parenting today. We're giving our kids just anything and everything they want, and we're working our asses off for them. When my kids went to school, this is the last thing I'll share with you. I said, the day you believe you think you're gonna drive a better car than your mom and dad is the day you're gonna be on your own. And I'm proud of each and every one of them, because that's the way it went. We gotta work together.
Well said, Gary.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, thank you. Very good words, Leonard. Thank you. Thank you for working for us.
No, I appreciate the time,
Very good.
but I truthfully can say that I love each and every one of you here, but we got to work together. If we don't, it's not gonna work. And if we don't straighten it out in our own towns, in our own homes, in our own cities, we can't grumble about them jokers we got in the national part. We gotta get it straightened out here first.
Thank you,
Maybe their
Leonard.
time is coming, and it might be sooner than later.
We won't get into that, Leonard. We might
Well,
get out there.
we could, but yeah, it'd be a year's worth before I got done speaking.
Thank you. David, we have you on here, you got some comments about the courthouse yard, and would you
okay,
come up and tell us what we need to be
Could you come sit up
thinking?
here, please?
Okay, I've been mowing out there, I've seen for years, but I finally figured out, there's a,
Septic
abandoned well. It's an abandoned well, it's an old dry well,
Right over here?
right over in here. It's about 30 feet deep, 2-foot curb, I figure. And it's just got a little cover over it, it's really a dangerous little item. I don't know, I haven't found out anywhere about the septic tank, where it is, or if it was ever filled from the old
Courthouse.
courthouse.
Yep.
But we do need to fill that well, and get it. Now,
Would you and your
Well, we-
equipment be able to take care of that?
that's what I'd have to probably get, say like Mark Thompson or someone over with a backhoe
And dig
and
it out?
expose it. Cause I wouldn't wanna try doing it with a Bobcat or something, and, but, and then I'd haul in, I talked to Lowell about some gravel, just haul in a truckload of gravel and
Yeah.
dump in her, And-
Better stop to the state, cause there's certain, since it's a public deal, there's certain ways you close those wells.
Well,
I
that's,
don't know if it would pertain to this, but.
yeah,
if
that's
there
another
was-
thing I was wondering about, how much we permit, whatever we gotta follow
You know
about.
where it is, he's gotta find it too.
Well, I can call, but I don't think it's, mostly it's pretty formal.
And it's not a deep well, it's only
No,
a,
there's no water in it or nothing, it's dry all the way down,
But it's 30 feet down.
about 30 feet, I dropped the string down it and,
are you sure it isn't, I'll bet that's runoff water for that old septic tank.
Right, that's what it is, yeah, they call them a dry hole.
Dry
And,
well, yeah.
yeah, and a dry well, dry hole, and they run the septic water into that and,
Are you sure that isn't what's for this courthouse?
no, well, if it is, it sure isn't getting any water, cause it's dry, you know, it's absolutely dry, you know. And our system for this is out over this way,
Okay,
there's some white paps and different things out, you know,
okay.
that way, and this is over, you know, by the old, yeah. Now, secondly, from the street out here, up into there, there's an old sidewalk, it's all crumbled up.
Yep.
I would like to, at that time,
Remove
I
that.
remove that old debris, you know, and get rid of it, and put some dirt back, you know, so.
Well, I certainly think that we need to give you authorization to go ahead with that.
Right, get that.
And whatever you need, do.
Yeah, that was really a dangerous
I'll
situation.
call him, Ralph, but.
Yeah.
I'll call him. Here, which phone number do you?
Pardon?
Phone
Your phone number.
293-3272 is the phone, I don't have it, so.
That's right.
Anyway, I'd like to find out more about whether the septic tank, I talked to Kenny Wolf about it, if it, you know, when he was with the county and things, and he don't remember ever hauling anything and filling a septic tank.
Oh, I doubt it.
So there might be
was.
one still somewhere out there,
Probably is.
and that's just as bad, or, you know,
Well, I don't know, yeah, we do septic tanks over there, I had to have one mine replaced. You just dug a hole and put it next to the one I already got in there, so I got two in my yard.
but they're, you know, most of them were old steel
They
tanks.
were old steel tanks,
They could,
thin steel with a black coating of tar
Yeah.
over
And then you
them.
need to contact Browns.
And they're, you know,
Brownsfield
they're
for that.
just as bad.
So, being you're here, you had some ideas you'd like to renovate the area in the old jail out there, and you had some plans, or,
I don't know where it happened to them, but yeah, I did have, this, what do you call it, nursery, James Valley Nursery. Drew up a kind of a renovation thing for planting some trees and renovating it and, I think it'd be, a good idea would be to build like a, pavilion over the old jail and preserve it. And then put it like a picnic spot on the end of that or something, you know, so that it would be, then you could open it to the public as a, you know, something, cause that's something that's, an 1800s jail is not a real common thing around the country, you know.
Is it on the historical society list?
Pardon?
Is it on the historical society list?
historical side. No.
No, it's, yeah.
Building
You
up.
could probably
Well-
get money through the, that's what I'm gonna say.
Well, that's what we were talking about, yeah.
There's
This-
We have the plans.
Okay,
Yeah.
but this has been on David's, mind a long time. I would say that if we get some public input, or, you know, we don't wanna do it if 100% of the people are against it, but
Right.
it's been on David's mind, so I think we ought at least ask the public what their opinion of it is,
Right.
and proceed the best way. Maybe there's some grants out there, I don't know.
Well, one of the other things I was just saying, was these trees, you could have someone, say, plant in memory of their dad, you know, a tree for so much to help cover the cost, you know, and things,
Sponsorships.
you know, that's, but, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
That's another one. So my third item, I was asking permission about, up by the old dump.
Yeah,
Could I mow that street around and find out what it would take to open up, what is it? Hughes Avenue from the dump up, so I could get up to my field? It's kind of messed up there.
well, the road is closed, that's the problem.
Well, I don't know if it's ever been officially closed. I don't think it's ever been officially closed.
Well, that's been a question.
It's
we
not
debated
passable.
it.
It's
Okay.
got washouts and everything, it's not passable, so they put a sign down there, closed.
Okay,
But I don't know what up on the top end of it, how bad it is up there. I only need a block up there.
are you proceeding on the section line, or is this?
It'd be
off-
on the section line.
Well, yeah, if it's not closed, it's usable.
Yeah.
All you have to do is figure out how to get bladed or whatever.
Right, you know, so, but, it's a long thing, but anyway, Farron Avenue, the one that runs north and south, between me and the city.
Right,
Okay, it runs along fine, but when it gets to the old dump,
it quits.
it quits, it's blocked off. So in order to go on there, I have to go back out in my field and around,
I'll get that map.
see? Where I would prefer if I could just go on the east side of the dump and then up.
Section lines were meant to, get to your
You're talking about
property.
going along.
Yeah,
Plain and
right,
simple.
yeah,
Long
And-
Cooks, are you talking, like, to go north
West,
and
or
south?
north of Cooks.
Yeah, but I mean on the east side of Cook's house,
no, it's on the east
On the
side of
west side?
Cook's house.
east side, that's what
Yeah,
I said.
that street's pretty nice, all the way over to, which is Hughes Avenue, which is the section line. That street's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But the Hughes Avenue is washed out, you know,
East
it's almost,
and
it's,
west, the section.
yeah, the section line. And it's really bad halfway down, it's really bad. It gets, there's like this washout in there.
I can tell you this much, that subject of that, whether that road is closed has come up before. And isn't recorded in the courthouse, which makes me believe it's not officially closed. However, they had hearings on that street, and it was never recorded, which means that maybe there was an objection. But it also has been noted that in the old newspaper, it was published there. But there's not, to my knowledge, that's not sufficient, but you'll have to deal with the state's attorney on this legality here. I'm not able to go any further.
Well, I'm just putting it before the board. So to
This
speak.
is what he's talking about right here. This lot right here.
This is
Did
Hughes
we
coming up
start to
here.
close that, when we closed
This
that
is
down?
mine down here. and
No.
Yep.
No, that was done way
So this
before
is the-
that.
This is the area right here.
Right, this whole.
Way before,
square
back
block.
when
No,
the
this is
Gan Valley
really
Chief
the
was in
I wanna go-
operation.
Oh,
I wanna
wow.
go
Like
here.
1922 maybe,
See,
something like
I
that, a
wanna-
long time ago.
okay, this is this
I
booklet here.
don't know the
This
timing
goes, and then
exactly, but
I'd like to
no.
go here
As,
and up to my.
to our
this is my
knowledge,
house.
the best it was,
And right now-
I can't go this-
attempted to be
Right
closed,
now-
so we don't have an official
That's
decision
the
that
east,
it is
Or this is
closed.
all,
Yeah.
they're both.
My
impacted
minute
right now.
couldn't
This
go
is a
back
pretty
that
nice,
far.
no, this is,
here.
this is all the way over here.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
sure? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
and this is gravel, this is gravel.
So it's really this piece.
This is the one that's rough in here.
But that's the same.
Right.
So it's-
Let's
That's unlike
move on.
We did do our.
Yeah, unlike.
Right.
Oh,
okay. So, but, this,
No.
okay, this street here has got a garage in it.
But all section lines are
And the only
open.
thing in the county is that
Or no, this is
big
okay.
enough to pull
The
them
big
out.
one,
This
watch out.
county,
This street's got a garage.
Sherry,
all
Sherry.
supposed to
Street has
retrieve
got
these
the
vehicles.
Gymnasium and
That's how the county
half
closes.
in it.
Yeah, come down here. It's pretty-
Yeah, I have no access
So-
up there.
I don't know that.
That's what I'm.
I'll let you keep that.
My question is for Lowell, how many hours are on the new blade,
65.2.
okay? And the next question I have is for you as well. How do you decide where to gravel?
Basically, I get phone calls at least 3 or 4 a week, wondering when we're gonna have gravel on our road. And I take it as time as the requests come in, I put them on the list, basically.
Is that based on whether it's a road that is traveled by more than one person, or how do you,
How do I determine where to go next?
Yeah. Who hollers the loudest?
basically.
Okay, well, last month you told me that you were gonna try to get to 226 and 355th, 255th Avenue within the next month. And that road was in horrible shape. You patched a couple places on 226, and the next, I don't know when you did it, but the day after during the commissioner meeting, it rained a bunch. And the next day I checked that patch, and it was awful. There were tracks in it this deep, and with mud squishing up through the very little bit of gravel that had been sprinkled on the top of the patch. It wasn't packed, and I went out there again, recently, and it has not been bladed in the last month, or since you patched it. And also, the 355, here's some pictures, that I would like you guys to look at. On the bottom, it tells where it is. Those are after the patch, that's not the patch, this is an addition. And I noticed today that there's fresh gravel on 356. That's a road that was gravelled from Highway 45 to Highway 34 2 years ago. And one of the first things
Is that Duncan Church Road or?
yes, and then down to,
It was, I wanna correct you on that, it was gravelled this will be the 4th time in 5 years that road has been gravelled.
well, I don't know about that, but I know it was
I do,
gravelled in
I do.
entirety.
Kurt drives
Four times.
2 years ago it
It's
was.
being gravelled currently 4 times.
Okay,
And one other comment that I'd like to make about following the sheep tracks down the road. The guy that's driving the gravel truck is a sheep. He follows his tracks every time. Last year when Cody Wolf was graveling the roads, he split his tracks every single time.
I did mention that to Joel. I just
Okay.
came back here 2 days ago, and I did mention that to him, to pack that as you go, and you can make that road basically where the grader does not have to follow. But we also have Fulton trucks running up and down that road where it really pushes that dirt out, or that gravel out a lot. And it's harvest season, you're gonna have that, but. that road-
also, one of the first roads bladed after you came on the hole was that 356. And you moved the gravel across the road and put it in grass that was that tall at the time. And that gravel ridge is still there, in the grass that Leonard has mowed. And as long as I'm on the subject of Leonard, I wanna recommend you for the job you do at mowing. You do such a wonderful job. It is a pleasure to see the road ditches after you've gone through.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's why I wanna add this on the gravel. I do have an issue when a guy is going out there to maintain the roads, that before any of them are maintained, they've gotta be mowed. This is one thing that I did on my own driveway that's been neglected, and that's a county, that is in the county bylaws, that is a county road that was never maintained ever since I moved to Springs, and that's been 5 years. So I personally, myself, did the maintaining of that gravel. I didn't have to bring up all, and some of that dirt's gotta be brought up to get them edges smoothed out on the roads again. But I personally purchased just a little bitty utility tractor with a little 7-foot blade. And I literally went out there and I pulled that gravel back out of the shoulder without even kicking up much of the dirt. And all the gravel was in the middle of the road, and the road's got that little bit of hump to it, but that's why I say all of these big trucks don't travel down them, and I know everybody's got a haul to keep up with. the society and the way the government's got us so, hog-tied. They're trying to tell us what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and how to do it, when they don't even know what they're doing, but that's another story. But if we just do that, like I said, instead of following the sheep, and the gravel truck for the county that's doing it this year got some big wide tires on the trailer, and I'm telling you, that's packing that gravel into the roads good. It's all these trailers with them the double wheels. They're narrower, so it's just common sense, they're gonna cut, deeper in tracks. That's why I stress that we straddle every time we're empty, or them roads are solid enough right now during harvest where you could, cause that's it. With the Fulton trucks that was hauling yesterday they went way over what I'm trying to get back on them roads was 3 foot into that old grass, pigeon grass and weeds out there. They slowed down and they passed me decent. They had no problem because they got back to the combine in time, and if they don't, the combine can set a little bit. I know it's time out of their pocket, but we can only do, and if we don't all work together, it's not gonna get us any straight. But last year, like I say, and I just quoted it earlier, when you're patching the roads, but then gravel the whole road afterward. Because that groomer, that's another thing I stress that groomer for. That'll straighten and that'll make a nice solid surface, a foundation for them roads to be gravel before they are maintained and groomed with a grader. And another thing with the grader, I believe we don't need 2 graders until we seriously get somebody who knows how to run them.
I agree.
And, I'm not putting Lowell down, but we got that new maintainer with a packer on the back of it. That's what that maintainer, and specifically, that's what that packer on the back end of that maintainer is for, is to make a solid foundation. When I go down grooming a gravel road, I go down it 3 times, because my pappy taught me, I'm no farmer. A lot of people might think I'm an old hillbilly, but so what? But the more you drug your grain, the better stand you got up. That come up and sprouted, and you can eliminate a lot of the weeds. I don't recommend grooming the road any more than 3 times, because then that's too much, but at least 3 I did Selby Road last year, and that road was good until everybody gets, they follow the advice for a few days, and then all of a sudden it's right back. If we don't keep doing it, it's not gonna get any better. I understand why we're kind of spoke as like sheep, cause like a sheep, when one sheep goes, the rest of them follow. If I come to a cliff with a bunch of people, and the first one that hops off, gonna hop off, I'm damn well not gonna hop off after him.
Thanks, Larry.
We've got to work together.
The only thing, Junior, don't you think if them roads was done fairly often? That it would help
Correct,
to keep
but
the sheep mentality on.
and that's another comment I would like to make, that when somebody calls in for the road to be gravel, put them on that waiting list. Whoever called in first come, first served. Don't, because this just happened to me the other day. I was on my route, doing what I should be doing, and then there's, I ain't no gonna mention any names, but they called in, they wanted this little trail blaze for them. I had to run. I did it for Lowell because I didn't want everybody to keep harping at him. I had to take off my route, go 20 miles out of the way when I could have had my route and then some done that day. And then that screwed up my route, so that's why I stayed yesterday to do 46 miles.
Okay, I have a question with that policy role of greasing the squeaky wheel. I would much rather that you assessed your roads and found the spots in a well-traveled road that needs attention and deal with that before you deal with the squeaky wheel, especially if it's a road where it serves one person. I live at the end of a 3-mile plus road that is a minimum maintenance. Hasn't been maintained for, I don't know, hasn't been gravelled since Jesus was a baby. And I'm not asking for, it could use some gravel, I'm not asking for that. I would be unhappy if it got attention before those roads up there that need it so badly. And I ask you commissioners as a board, please, have some oversight on this and see what's going on around here and do something about it. And get us some decent help in the highway department so that it can be done right.
Okay, thank you. Glenn, what do you got?
Well, I guess I got something, I gotta disagree with this young gentleman, the road groomer. If you use it with semis behind the groomer, it's a Band-Aid fix only. We sit here and we listen to, county spends a lot of money to try to find the perfect gravel, it's got right PI. That groomer brings up rocks, about size your fist, no PI gets brought up, you got a loose surface on top, like I said, it's a Band-Aid fix. You have trucks running down it, it's a loose surface, in about 2 or 3 days, you can't even tell it's down there. You know, it's probably got its purpose, but anybody I know that drives trucks on the Shelby Road does not like it. It's a waste of time. And it, like I said, it's probably got a purpose somewhere, but you know, you're running trucks, and I agree with him, splitting the ridges. Our driver's been told, split the ridges, split the ridges. We worked with Kenny for years, where he run the blade, he would split, especially on the gravel road, Shelby, you know, and that's, but I disagree with Jake brake. You get more washboards with mechanical braking system, because like we all know, brakes are not all equally adjusted. When you put a brake on, they're gonna start bouncing. Some of them are gonna start skidding, so. But our washboards are usually where the power is being put on.
That's right.
Going up a hill, spinning out.
That's right.
I mean, our hill is terrible and it's, I mean, it is.
Goosenecks. Goosenecks.
And the only way to
high-powered
really
brake.
get rid of that is a blade, get that worked out. And we gotta agree with him on the weed problem, on the trees. Ever since the county quit broadcasting the weed spraying in the ditches, that's where the little trees come up. If you're using milestone or anything on the ditches, that's gonna take care of all the cedar trees that seed down in the ditch, because that's deadly on cedars. And so, the spot spraying road ditches is, that's another thing, it's just, so it's a waste of time. It, you know, we get back to broadcast, we don't spot spray our fields. You know, we go out and spray a field, we spray the whole dang thing. And we got Janie in the ditches, we got Palmer in the ditches, we got water hemp in the ditches, we got Canadian thistle in the ditches. We got a mess.
Sandberg,
we got a mess. And it, but no, splitting the ridges is a good thing, and you brought up the point, the county guys have gotta do it too. You know, it's, and overload. This, when we done a harvest this year, all our trucks come around the highway, the Shelby Road. We did not go across the Larson Bridge, because it's posted, and if we went across it, it was, we made dang sure we was well within the limit, but if we was loaded, it took us a lot more miles, a lot more time, but we come around the highway.
Thank you.
But did notice some people up there harvesting,
It didn't do that.
didn't do that 1,000 bushel grain carts going on a trailer, plus 2 semi dumps on a trailer, figure that out.
And that bridge is holding by this much, the last time I looked at it.
But we're,
And we still haven't gotten anything on that.
what's gonna happen with that bridge?
I knew
Well-
he was down there, I saw him about a week and a half ago. The guy was there, he was surveying it, his thing set up.
Okay. We haven't gotten any reports.
No.
And then back to the road deal, you know, we sat on here, my dad used to be a commissioner, and this road prioritization has been a big problem for a lot of years. Secondary road, primary roads. I'm still under assumption that private driveways was the last on the list. Always has been. You know, the primary road gets done first, when that gets done, then, but I don't think there's a road plan anymore, is there?
We're working on it.
And
we're going to be fine.
I do wanna interject, because I know some of you guys were upset that Willow graded our road. But they hauled gravel out of our pit for 2 months. And the deal with the county is, when you're done, you fix our road. We don't mind the gravel coming out, we don't mind any of it. All we ask is when you're done, grade our road.
But there should be a plan.
Yeah.
We're working on it,
And
but
we're
we'll
working
have,
But Lloyd, we've heard that. We always hear we're working on it or it's postponed till the next meeting. Somebody's gotta take the bull by the horns pretty quick. But,
Can I ask a
point
question?
well taken.
Can I ask
I
a
agree with
question?
Glenn. These two roads here, these are secondary, tertiary roads. They get bladed once a year if they're lucky. The 4-foot tall weeds that he mowed last year were on these roads. These roads,
No, they weren't. The 4-foot tall roads that I mowed was way over west.
Last
I
year.
went down every one of them roads, and this year, yes. This year is very unusual. The crop got in, 4 or 5 weeks later, but it outgrew any year that we've had so far. All the spraying, I agree, there's spraying time that's gotta be done, but some of this gotta be done by manual labor, because all this, what I've been mowing, that's why I'm on my 3rd pass now. And this was just through experience. I mowed 7 miles of trees by a lawnmower for the last 3-4 years. Them trees were full of Canadian and them big musk thistles. A lot of milkweed. To this day right now, that's why I talk about competition. And that we gotta start doing some of this manual labor. There's not a thistle in them trees, them 7 miles of trees that I planted to this day. But on the perimeter, on the outside where they're spraying, there's still thistles. What we gotta, we're always changing chemicals and saying this chemical's gonna work. Exactly, it will work. If everybody uses the right dosage on there. But there's a lot of people out there that's not using the right dosage, and that's why we're getting these weeds immune to all that spray. And if we did not spray them fields with the right dose spray, we would not be growing anything but weeds, because weeds will take over. I've done that. My pappy we were the chemical when I was a kid. We walked them frickin' corn rows day and night, pulling cockleburs, and we had some of the best corn in that day. This society is too lazy and spoiled.
Back to your point.
We've got to do some of this manual stuff. And back to the Selby Road, I passed your truck, and them are the trucks that are throwing rocks at the tractor by not slowing down.
How fast are they going?
How fast are they going? I'd say at least 55 to 60 miles an hour. Cause were you there?
No, I know my drivers.
I know my drivers. I'm the driver of that tractor, and one time when that windshield of the tractor breaks out, I'll come and put it on your doorstep and show you.
Okay, enough, let's continue, please.
Anyway, back to the spraying, he has a point, unless everybody does it, you know, we can do it in the fields, but unless the county does it in the ditch, it's a moot point.
Yes.
It just gets spread right back.
I think even the
Thank
state is
Thank
covering
you.
that up.
All right, Susan.
I'm gonna go back to this budget thing about where they take balance. Anybody have any idea how long that will have to be working to get that settled? Is that gonna be an ongoing every month thing?
On top of whatever you've got going now.
Yes, no?
Probably not that much. Like I said, I'm more than happy to sit down, we have everything laid out right here. So as soon as this meeting's done, we can sit down and we'll go through.
But I still don't understand why Janice has been in this office for 34 years. Diane was here for 10 months, 8 months.
Right.
You've been here for 10 months and you still can't get the accounts to balance.
It's mainly my 2021, so like I said, I'd feel better having, sitting with you in regards to that.
She's already been paid, reading the minutes, I don't see a motion for her to even be hired. And then I'm gonna go back to the road, 65 hours on that blade, you done it for how long, 2 months? That's a week and a half, it's been sitting in the shop.
Oh,
for
yeah, about 2 months.
7.5.
Mhm.
So, question again, I've asked it before, what are you doing? You had other things come up last month that you couldn't spray, and the roads haven't been bladed. Junior's doing all the mowing, Joe's hauling gravel.
Basically, I sit in the bathroom all day. How's that?
Got my answer, you're getting paid really well for it.
All right, Kurt Knight.
Everybody's happy with that, I hope.
I have heartburn over scheduling. These two roads are a disaster that she brought up. The only thing that I can figure out is part of this priority road business, they must be quadruple, fourth, fifth level roads. For the last 5 years, they get hit once a year if they're lucky with the blade. There has been 4 loads of gravel put on them in the last 5 years through the potholes. The shoulders have not been pulled, they have not been bladed. The weeds that were in them last year when they got mowed were 4, 5, 6 feet high kochia. Then they tried to blade it after that, and it was a train wreck. I guess part of the problem is they're in Grant East Township, which means there are no students and no mailboxes. Now, this Phantom Mailbox Road, or the road that's being gravelled today, is on its 4th graveling in 5 years. The road, there's two miles in the middle of it. The grade is lower than the land on either side of it. It is impossible to keep open in the wintertime. It has 3 sloughs that it crosses. There are no culverts in the sloughs. The water runs back and forth across the road, and we're gonna gravel it again. We are on a 4th graveling in 5 years. Just think of how much money you spent on that road. The reason that it was gravelled, from what I understand the first time, was for the Phantom Mailbox. Thereby, we call it the Phantom Mailbox Road. Somebody wanted to move their mailbox and get rid of these 2 roads that were being used for the mail route. So we moved the mailbox over to the crossroads, or somebody did, and resurrected the Phantom Mailbox Road. It was built as a road in the 60s or the 70s by Jimmy Cook with the blade. It was a dirt road at that time, and then it was a dirt road for the next 50 years. Then it had a sprinkling of gravel put on it, and now it has been gravelled 4 times in 5 years.
Well, Matt Sinke called me on that road last winter and darn near wrecked his, hay grinder.
That was that road with the
226, the
potholes.
one
He
that,
told me it was a fact.
That's this road where he had trouble.
it was 226.
And then he called me on it this
That
spring
patch.
because Fulton's were having trouble.
Right,
That's that road that Kurt's got.
yes.
No, that isn't. That's the road that he patched. That's,
Whatever,
Two
north of
26
Keys,
is the
where's
one
that
you
road
passed.
turn?
these are 355th.
Yeah.
Three
The one past
fifty-fifth.
Old Wesley O's place and one east,
That comes to
Yes.
that road,
east,
it was,
yeah,
they grab.
east-west road.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's-
dumped one load of gravel.
Or they
in it.
put the patch
So-
on now, but that's the.
No,
only-
not the road that you put the patch on, where you
No,
put
not
the
me,
patch.
but low.
Oh, okay, where you put the patch with the net wrap or whatever was
Yeah.
underneath it, it held up fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cause we didn't put dirt on top of that patch, we put gravel on top of the stuff.
And
And
now-
ask somebody. how
Okay,
they
let
were.
me, I wanna understand what you're saying. You talk about the Phantom Mailbox Road, and it's got too much gravel on it.
No, I'm not saying it has too much gravel, I'm saying that there are other roads, this road that hooks into it. Why aren't we graveling it? Why aren't we blading
Now,
it?
you're talking about the north and south road.
East and west.
East and west and north and south. The north and south road that goes past the old Wesley Yost place, and the east and west road that hooks into it,
Yeah.
and then the north and south road that goes past the Lou Anderson place.
Right,
There, that 7 miles, it doesn't even get bladed once a year, basically.
well, there's no traffic through there.
Oh, yes, there is.
Damn it, how many times do I have to tell you how much traffic is on that road? There's 16 sections of land that have been broke
Yeah.
right in that
On both
area.
sides
Okay,
of
you
the
figure it
roads.
out, you sit down and take 120 bushel per acre on 16 sections of land. That is 1,000 loads in
I'll
a
buy
semi
that.
and a pup. That's 1,000 loads a year, and that doesn't
But it
include.
doesn't,
It
when
doesn't,
Kenny was here, we don't even open it in the winter time for snow or anything.
that's right, because you abandoned it to make the Phantom Mailbox Road, which you can't keep open in the winter time.
Well, okay, but I wanna understand what you want here,
I
okay?
want to get these roads off of this secondary list. Why do we have a secondary list? Is our taxes poorer in, our dollars aren't worth anything?
No, I'm fine with doing it, I just wanna understand for
Make
sure
them all
what we have
equal.
to do.
Make all the roads equal. With the equipment we got now, we can easily cover
Oh,
all the
hell
roads.
yes, absolutely.
I mow them.
So let's
And we
do it.
got plenty of help, basically.
And the other comment I wanna make is the roads that Rex put a crown on are still holding up.
That is.
That's the
because
ones that
I
are
was on
holding up, and I'll
224.
guarantee you, if he wouldn't put that
Is
crown on those
between
roads,
Duncan Church
we would be in deep doo-doo
and,
right now.
The first Knippling corner off the Hot 34.
That crown is just absolutely invaluable.
It does have a value.
Now,
The first mile.
I live on the
When I
Crockett
was
Road,
doing on my
Yeah.
first
okay?
routes to check.
The Crockett
study
Road
my route.
has been graded
There's a
6
pickup that
times.
went through there, and that's why I say that
6
we gotta
times.
have follow and stop.
The weeds have been
He
mowed
went through there,
4
he was hauling
times
out
on it.
cattle.
Now, is that because it's a handy
White
road,
pickup truck.
or is that because it needs it?
Didn't slow down.
The last time it was
Way out to
bladed,
the shoulders.
whoever bladed it the last time,
Loosened.
Hey!
the yard.
last time it was bladed,
You got half a yard out.
that crown that Rex worked so hard on, about that much of it was taken off. They were down to black dirt in the center of the road. I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Can we have Lowell address some of these issues? He's the highway superintendent.
I'm just saying that, you know, it's gotta be equal everywhere. You know, and roads like this that get multiple people using them every day of the year, except for when they're closed in the wintertime. They need to have a higher priority than a single user road.
Exactly.
Oh, I agree, I agree.
Well, we just traveled 1.5 miles of the Menser Road.
And
One
Coyote Hollow.
part-time person lives there.
Coyote Hollow got gravel.
Coyote Hollow got gravelled.
Last year, the Fosnot place got gravel.
Fosnot Hurley got gravelled. They're nobody lives on them. They're vacant places. This Phantom Mailbox that was put in, it was to a vacant place. Now, how goddamn high a priority does that have? I mean, the system is broke, it's out of control, we gotta get control of it. Just like Leonard says, it's, I don't know, it's frustrating. See, these roads, we can't use these roads if it rains more than 2,500. See these tracks in this road, they were made after 20 hundredths of rain. You cannot drive the road.
And for
Folks,
your
folks try
information-
everything in their power to split their tracks. You know, when I talked to Mark and Paul about it, I said, split your tracks when you're harvesting. They said, well, yeah, we can, not all of the drivers are really experienced enough to be splitting tracks. And so, he says, you know, the guys that are good truck drivers, they split their tracks, and they split them going both ways. To get their harvest okay, they have changed the way they haul.
Well,
They
they
haul
make a
one way and go
circle.
round
Yeah,
and
they
around in
make a
circles, so they
circle,
never
so-
meet each other.
Yeah, cause they can't.
Can I speak? He's exactly right, cause that's why I say yesterday, I met the Fulton group. There was 7 trucks hauling. And every time I'd meet them in different spots, because when I'm going. I don't, but they made a big circle. From the field, they hauled down the 2
But I don't think,
Duncan Church,
I don't think
Duncan
there's-
Church alley, and they come around on 45 and then come down 224th Street. And like I say, them trucks were respectable, cause every one of them, when they met me, they slowed down
Well-
and they pulled way over.
I tell you what, I will take some time and I will travel those roads with the highway superintendent and we'll do the best we can to get this priority right and to get those
well,
things.
the roads, those roads are so far gone, they need to have shoulders pulled. I mean, ask the shoulder puller person.
Nobody, they don't ever ask nobody that.
He learned how to do it the hard way. And every road that he did it to, right now is holding up. That should tell you something. These kind of roads, they're not gonna hold up. And if you just pile gravel on them, it's not gonna do any good.
Alright.
Lloyd, with all due respect, I would like to see all 3 of you travel the road with the highway commissioner, or the highway supervisor,
Well, that's not.
to make
possible.
sure that something essentially is going to get done. We've been traveling with him for a year now, we don't see a whole lot of improvement.
Well,
And
thank
again, I'd
you.
like to see him address some of these issues. What is going on? What is he doing? 65 hours on that blade in 2.5 months?
See, I haven't, none of the roads, none of these roads have been bladed.
None.
Once this year, just once. And these roads here have not been bladed this year. They were bladed once last year, once the year before, once the year before that, once.
And the Caterpillar blade is in Kimball get the air conditioner fixed. Well, why fix the air conditioner if you ain't gonna use it?
Not using the new blade, but tell me you need another one.
No, that's it. Let's move on. Thanks for all your comments. We will-
Okay. Okay, well, fuel bids.
He took, I was gonna say, you gotta remember Rex has got an advantage over all
Oh.
the DNA. He knows how to handle the equipment.
Okay, fuel bids. Total oil, unleaded bulk, 4.20. Ethanol, 3.79. Number 2 dyed, 4.25. Total oil, do I have a motion?
I'll second.
All aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Lowell,
Yes, sir.
tell us about, the highway department.
As far as for the report of July, on July 6th, Bill Walker, from Nutrien, come from Spearfish, and he calibrated the sprayer so that we could do an efficient job of what we do with the sprayer. He calibrated and everything's ready to go. On July 11th through the July 15th, Joe and I come down with COVID. Basically, the highway was shut down for that week. and, we both recovered and we both tested negative before we come back to work. Basically, we've been graveling roads every day. We got a contract worker, Roger Von I, he's been helping. And we're blading roads that have been on the list or we're graveling roads that's been on the list for probably 3 weeks to a month. And we're basically going where the need is met most. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., LTAP is putting on a training course for employees from Buffalo County and Brule County and the city of Kimball. And we'll be up on 356th Avenue where we're graveling today, and we're gonna pull shoulders and, not pull shoulders, but we're gonna build a crown and see what they all have to offer on the training course. Basically, I figured up all the bill for Elvira Township. Replacing the culvert was $2,108.67. We've got 5 hours of grading and we've got 3 hours of mowing. And I think Deb has got the gravel hauling that we've done for Elvira Township. And it has come up to $5,682.67 so far this year. We're looking forward to the training we're gonna get tomorrow, and we'll surely pick up some pointers on how to improve our road grading on roads. As far as that, that's all I have for my report.
Thanks, Lowell.
Say, Lloyd, can I have a question?
Yes,
Can us as citizens come up and buy gravel?
probably not. That's not a good subject. You know, and
What kind of price, like when you share a road with Brule County, what kind of price do you charge them for gravel? A ton?
I think it's,
It's $4.55 a ton.
$4.55 a ton.
okay.
Yes.
And somebody said, you know, when you gravel that road down between Union Township and Village Hall, that, you know, Buffalo County gravelled it and bladed it, and they haven't got paid for it yet.
I see, no, we haven't,
And I was told they have all kinds of money, but nobody got a bill to them,
okay?
so. And, you know, if you're selling gravel and doing a time plan, I wanna buy some.
When you, between county or entities, like government entities, you can, but it's not very easily done. I mean, I wouldn't say it couldn't be, but it'd have to be a approved project or something which probably would never happen.
Back on the roads, I did get a call, from Roy Knipling this morning, and just wants to make sure that people are aware that the road from Roy's house north to his folks is a private road.
Yes.
And, he just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that at the meeting, and I told him I would.
Yeah, that's private road.
I have a question to you. What about that, water passageway over here? Oh, yeah. We're gonna work something out with the tribe? Yeah,
The slab road.
The slab,
What's going on there?
I haven't been over there for a couple weeks.
Was it Jeremy?
Jeremy Thomas is supposed to.
Has the bid.
Has the
Has the
bid.
bid,
When
yes.
is he gonna start?
Well, if you ask him, it's in a couple weeks. That's been several months.
Must
And
be
I
getting close.
assume that if he's busy, he'll probably continue that way. I don't know. I have no idea.
Was he the only one that gave us a bid?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was under, I can't even remember when it was.
Will you call to find out what the status of that is, sir?
Yes, I
When he
will.
might bring it up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the snow, sir.
Okay, did you have something on weeds? You're all prepared.
You wanna,
Yep.
we could just start at the top. We
Yeah.
had, some requests for some more COVID tests. We reached out to the Department of Health, and they don't have any more that, was given to counties. They gave us a website where we can get free COVID tests, so we put this on here just to let everybody know that there have been some county residents that had asked about that, so we wanted to follow through. And, they were going to, in their next meeting, the Department of Health was gonna see if they could do another round of, we had 288 COVID tests for the counties.
How many tests do you need?
That's hard to say, you know, there's been just a few people call in, ask about them, if they had another 100 or, it's hard to kind of, yeah. But they went, you know, we had them in a basket.
Well, you had them for quite a long time.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, there was.
I understand.
Let's see, the phone update, new phones are in, and they're working. Everything functions as it should. Next, we're gonna do scanned emails so that we can scan documents. It, can eliminate, faxes. We still have a fax line, we're not gonna get rid of it, but it just, again, makes us a little more efficient.